I can see me. Good. Okay, welcome to the Golden Polar Bear and to this week's demonstration, which is a roasted bean with red pepper and also a smoked paprika infused oil dressing that eventually looks comme ça. So this is a fantastic thing because it's 3 elements which can be made in advance and served in lots of different ways. And so without further ado, let's get on with it. Now then, I did advertise butter beans, you are right, but butter beans from Asda, I mean, I don't like the flavour anyway. As Amazon let me down, so I didn't have what I needed to soak in time. So I thought, oh, I'll just use Asda's, not ideal. But they don't work, they just blow up. They just blow up. They literally just blew up. Whatever I did, whatever temperature, however I cooked, they blew up. And normally they don't. But I'm a bit fussy about my butter beans. I generally don't buy these, you see. I buy ones that are, you know, that I have to soak because these don't taste anything like butter beans that you soak. But because Amazon didn't deliver, because they've started using Royal Mail, sadly, I didn't have time. Those, no. So, you'll have seen some on social, actually, butter beans that I've roasted up, and that's how they should be, nice and big and proper. But anyway, so we have here these chickpeas, which are stand-ins today, which is fine. I'm going to cook them in the air fryer, which is fine, or you can cook them in the oven. And that's them done, and that's them not done. So, you know, they go down in size, and we're looking for crispy, and we're looking for golden and brown, and I actually like them when they're quite burnt, but I had to stop myself today. These were done in the air fryer today, but the same principle applies. The instructions go through both methods actually, for air frying and for oven. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So they're just going in the air fryer for 20 minutes, so they can be on during this. 200 is the setting. And they can just literally go in. I've got a liner in my air fryer, like that. Just put some in. If you're putting in the oven, this deodorized coconut oil would be what I would preheat in the oven at 220. It's got to be really hot to make this work. They change texture, obviously, they become crunchy, but they change flavour as well. They go really nutty, and they're just a really nice snack. But coconut oil is superior. Rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, just no. No, they just don't, it doesn't work the same way. This is what you need in a non-vegan setting. Of course, we'll be using goose fat. So I wanted to say that this is very important to use, the deodorized one. I mean, coconut flavour would be all right, I suppose, but a deodorized one. And also some salt. And then let's just get a little bit of oil. We can put a bit of oil, or you could just put a bit of cooking spray, that oil spray, if you wanted to. But to be honest, with this, the air fryer is doing a lot of the work. So those will come out at the end. So let's just got those are on. Those are on. Air fryer liners, you know. I don't like using the air fryer without a liner in. Okay, so some Maldon sea salt gone on, much nicer, much nicer. So that's that done. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, just bring over my tray, is to create the smoked paprika infused oil. And let's just heat a bit of oil. So, okay, let's just go back with dressings. So with dressings, we always, I was going to say melt, we always dissolve salt with vinegar. That's the first thing I think of when I do a dressing. Dissolve the salt in the vinegar, and then that job's done, and I'm not worried about a gritty salt. So we will do that. Red wine vinegar for this, helps with the colour, but is right anyway. Shakers, obviously, for dressing. Smoothie shakers are ideal. They've got these things in the bottom. I've got 3 of these. It's just the thing coming out. So I normally have something like this dressing, a stronger dressing, classic French dressing, and maybe like a agave and whole grain mustard dressing. So I've got 3 dressings, usually on the go in the kitchen, and they're brilliant because you can put them in ragouts and sauces. You know, they're kind of ready-made sauces, aren't they? As long as they're all a bit different. I've got preserved lemon dressing going at the moment because I made that for the weekend. So preserved lemon chopped up with tiny bits of shallot and some garlic. So, you know, just having those to hand really makes such a difference with your life. We're going to just heat some oil to use in this. And as you probably know now, dressing is 1 to 2. So 1 amount of vinegar for 2 amounts of oil. I find that quite easy as soon as I'm in a setting like this, or if I'm in a jug, because you can just sort of see. So, you know, when I made this, I can see that, you know, that's obviously the vinegar at the bottom, and I've got double the amount of oil. So make plenty. Once you've tested the recipe, make plenty, because you don't have to be measuring out, and you just have that, you begin to develop that kind of confidence. So we heat the oil up and we put some smoked paprika in. Smoked paprika is one of the spices I buy a lot of. You know, I buy it because I go through a lot, so I buy big quantities of it from Amazon. So just put some of that in, and then we want to just heat that through actually. Let's just put that on there and let's keep organised. And it starts to, we'll just actually move this out of the way and show that camera angle. It starts to bubble a bit. Let's check that. Just want a bit more heat on there. Oh, not going too well tonight, is it? Yeah, so careful when you do this, don't step away. And we're going to put a bit of garlic in as well. Now then, so just chop your garlic up into chunks, just got to be careful, and get it in there. And of course, if you're just going to have this for your tea and you're not really doing it in advance, you can just do a quick infuse. This dressing obviously gets better the longer you leave it, which is really nice actually, isn't it? That it keeps giving. So you can see that's bubbling a little bit. Turn it down a little bit, but you really just want to get it bubbling and foaming, and then it will just sort of do its job. So we can take him off the heat and we can just leave him, and that's really all you need to be doing, to be honest. And then in here you can put some salt. You can put some salt. I mean, I'm being quite sort of, I'm not measuring everything out perfectly because I don't think you need to, but you know, there's probably about half a teaspoon. Let's get some of that, just dissolving that, and you can look down and go, yeah, that's dissolved now, that's good. That's going to go into there. Let's pop him into there, and that's basically that done actually. So that's all good. Let's just keep me clean. So these are going on. That's all going on. That looks very nice. And we're simply just going to wait. Now, towards the end, let me just go back to this camera. Towards the end of this, well, when this is cool and this is in, you're going to grate some garlic in. But really, you want to do that just before service. So this garlic here has got an undertow of flavour. It's mellow. It's mellow because it's big lumps. And it's being slowly heated. Before you serve, this applies for any dressings actually, grating a little bit of fresh garlic in or over is adding that powerful garlic flavour. So you might not want to do that if you're doing it for lunch, but it would really add something. This has got that in now, and it adds that sort of almost, it's a hotter flavour, isn't it? Grated garlic, I think, than this. So just appreciate that they're doing two different things. Hang on. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. No questions coming in. So that's that little job. So we've got the beans on the way. This is now fine. Just want to let that cool. That's all good there. That's all good there. Those are the ones we did earlier. So let's just keep me nice and clean and tidy. Right, okay, so the next thing we're doing with another pan, let's have this open pan, take this pan, is we're doing some peppers. Now then, I spent quite a lot of my life not liking peppers because my mum, sorry mum, but it is your fault, but didn't cook them very well. And they weren't soft enough. And she was quite good at putting raw pepper in salads, and we ate a lot of salads actually. So horrible. This is a really good way. I'm just heating the pan up, then I'll put some oil in, and we're going to cut the peppers. Now then, so I'm just going to think about, always thinking as a cook, right, what's going to go with this? What shape should this be? How long do I have to cook this? And overall, what do I want to see? So today, when chickpeas became, you know, the centre rather than butter beans, I immediately, the next thought was, what size will I do this then? Because butter beans are obviously a different size, and maybe a smaller bit of this would sit underneath a butter bean. So, you know, in food, you've got texture, you've got flavour, and you've got colour, and those are the things you have to vary and think about all the time. This is a winner, really, because it's got all of that. So just before you set sail with your knife, do think about what shape. Are you going to go in half and create a boat? That would not be good, unless maybe those are the thinner peppers, those sweet ones. Oh yeah, so when the chef came, I said, can you show me how to hold my knife in the way that you hold it? He had a really, like, a callus here, and he has a knife here, and I felt all this was very much in the way, but he said that's it. You know, they're designed to balance, and the balance is usually here, so you want the control here, and you want this here near this sharp edge. But actually, and obviously it's that sort of motion, but actually since I started doing that, I personally feel a lot better. So I'm not going to do all of this, but, you know, obviously the way to cut a pepper, we've probably done this in the course, is to, you know, cut away from everything that you don't want anywhere on your bench. You know, you don't want these seeds anywhere. And then we'll just get the white bits out, just aware. So I'm looking at that oil and I'm seeing that heat up, so that's nice. We're doing this in the pan. If you were roasting the butter beans, of course you could put this in with the butter beans. I'm just thinking, I think that we probably just want to do smaller because I'm demonstrating. There are lots of ways to cook red pepper. You could just put them in a bag and put them in the microwave. You know, you can roast them. You can get the skins off eventually. Although obviously I don't do that. I wouldn't ever get skins off. I eat whole food. A lot of flavours under the skin. But I know that's, you know, classic way to do. But yeah, we'll just have these nice and small. I might not use all of that actually. Let's get some in here. So we'll just soften those off. I put salt on there obviously to just help the water come out. Just leave those now. Don't mess around with them. They're in contact with the pan and the heat in the pan coming through. This is a good solid cast iron pan, and you'd want an open pan. You wouldn't want something with higher size because it keeps the moisture in. Yeah, don't mess about with it, just leave it to do its job. It's rather like cooking mushrooms, it has to be very high heat. You just put the mushrooms in, leave them to just be in contact, don't move them around too much. So this is one way of doing it, obviously, but then, as I said, you can microwave it in a bag with some steam or oven roast. So you decide for yourself. I'm going this route because of where we are today. And getting it done, because I think this is a way that people may just say, oh yeah, I'll do it that way because it's quick and I just want an evening meal. So let's just protect my hand a bit. So just putting the garlicky bits in. Wait for this pepper to do its thing. And spatula that off because you've got smoked paprika, so you just want that smoked paprika out the way. I mean, you can add all sorts, can't you? I mean, the sky's the limit really with what you'd add to a dressing. I'll add some more dressings to the side. So I can't see where that is. I suspect we need a little bit more oil. I'm not sure. But we'll just let that settle. But that's your dressing ready. Put the lid on, Julia. Things aren't quite working out, are they? Let's just get that on there. So yeah, leave that to cool, and then so that's nice. Let's just have a look at that. And here now we've got some nice char on the outside here. I can see that that's softening. Again, it's up to you how much texture you want, but by leaving the red pepper in contact with the pan and not messing about with it, that's got that char on there. You can't get that unless you just do that and leave it. Another way that you could do this actually would be just have a dry hot pan, sear it on the edges and then oven roast. Yeah, lots of ways to do peppers. You could take these and then you could put them in a Tupperware, put a lid on. It would soften them more. They're quite thin strips, so I've made them quite soft just by nature of their size. So, lots of different ways to experiment. I quite like a little bit of bite. Now then, so let's just think. I was going to serve this on pumpernickel, but I didn't because I thought the flavour wasn't right. Pumpernickel's a bit sweeter. This is lovingly artisan bread. Need a plate. A lovingly artisan bread, and let's just see. Yes, you can see that. And I got this from Booths, so it's really nice. Very Scandi. Got this yesterday. I'm not going to do much more than that actually, simply because I don't want to eat any more than that for my tea. But so we've got, just going back to the three things, the texture, colour and flavour, we've got a really nice bread here. It's a lovely colour. looking across at that. We've got some green going to go on. But if I was going to do this for like an evening meal and earlier in the day and I was starving and I'd done loads of exercise, you know, I'll be having more bread, thicker slice and stuff like that. But that's adequate for me. Now, and then of course we want to have some leaves. So the choice of leaf, everything is a choice, everything's sort of chosen for a reason. I'd like the leaves to be just sort of set in the middle. They're going to have the pepper on, they're going to have the dressing on. Rocket would work. I like the colour of these. I have a lot of salad. I'm very lazy. I don't make a lot of salad, but I eat a lot of leaves. I have leaves for breakfast as well. Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut would go nicely here. Toast this, actually. The lady in Booths, I was talking to her yesterday and she said this bread's better when it's toasted. Other suspects for this, I mustn't forget that. Capers, always having capers in, you know, seasoned cooks always have that in. Always have the different mustard, Dijon, whole grain and English, at least the English powder. Tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, usually in the cupboard. So now, just burnt that a little bit, jabbering on. So now we can line it up. I mean, if you've got butter, obviously butter on the bread would be nice. A little bit overcharred this, but it doesn't really matter. There we are, let's get him out of the way. Let's get some herbage. Just check the camera out. Parsley's the one for this, for me. I've got a load of coriander at the moment. I was going to use that up, but probably not. Thought, no, I should demonstrate with what I have. And yeah, so you could put your sun-dried tomatoes on, your capers. I'm not going to do that right now, just take up more time. But you know, just get into dressing, whatever. These are coming out now. These are good, actually. Let me just switch that off. That's good. We're ready with these. So hard to see. Let me switch angle. Yep. So here we are. These are all very hard, golden, and some of them are popped open, which is lovely and flavoursome. You could put some more salt on if you wanted to, but this is perfect. They are quite hot, so I'm just going to leave them there, and I'm going to use these ones instead. Here, and of course they're all going to fall all over the place, but that doesn't matter particularly. You could put a little bit more herbage on top, a little bit of a glaze if you've got one, because it's quite nice. And then let's use a dressing that's cold, and then dress. Now, what you want to do actually is to make sure that you don't dress all of the beans, because the beans, you want some to be left crunchy and dry, and some to be full of moisture and soaking up the dressing. So just be careful. That's why I haven't sort of put the pepper and the chickpeas together. and put everything in with this. It's not the way to do it. Retain some crunch, either by retaining some and popping them on, or just being a bit more careful where you put the dressing. But use the dressing. It's there for a reason, because actually if you don't, you end up with like a fat-free meal, and long term, you know, we all need fat in our diets, and it's quite light and there's no animal fat going on, and it makes you feel satisfied and full. So that's good. A lot of vegan people tell me they graze a lot, and I reckon it's because they could be a little bit low on fat. But yeah, so that's it. That is it. That is roasted chickpeas, standing in for butter beans today. I'll show you butter beans next time. Chickpeas, roasted chickpeas on a nice roasted red pepper, served with the ripe kind of bread, which is this, I believe, nice seedy, got good texture, heavy, and some leaves, plus smoked paprika infused dressing. Let me just pop those back in there and just see if they've got any questions. Right, so the question is, the comment is, that looks like a lovely lunch. Yeah, and actually, to be honest, it's answering the what's for tea question, because it's really, really filling. And what's for tea question, I just was thinking about it every day. You know, it's the simplest question in the world, isn't it? What's for tea? But it's the one that bugs us. And I thought, well, I can start answering that, because if you were hungry and you sat down and ate that, you would be really full. It is a lunch, of course, but it is also a what's for tea. Now then, so with these beans, you could, you know, snack on them, really great snack, or you could have them as a topper to something else. So say you'd made, let's just think about curry, you know, you could put them on the top as extra protein. I think vegan people can be quite snacky because the protein could be a little low as well. So I have these, you know, with sauerkraut on a piece of bread. I've changed my breakfast recently. I just have half a slice of bread. I put smoked tofu down, sauerkraut, salad, some of this. This is a bit more like my breakfast now, and I do feel a lot better, more energy. The amount of oil, yeah, I know. I am aware of that. I know I use quite a lot of oil. I've tried to reduce my oil, but I'm also aware that there's no animal protein on here, which has fat inherently in it. You know, it's like a salmon fillet would be really quite oily, and we need it for our cell membranes. And I don't want to look like an old crepey lady. I don't know, I have put a bit of weight on recently. Do you, I love raw pepper in salads. I didn't get my pumpernickel made. Oh, okay, well, I don't like raw pepper in salads. But raw would go well, and you could have both. So, you know, that's always an option. I definitely eat enough tofu, but I'm probably careful on oil. Well, yes, well, you are super slim and an athlete as well, so you're much more careful. I just go with what I feel, you see. If I take oil right back in my diet, I feel terrible. And I get really dry skin. I never use moisturiser. I never use conditioner on my hair. I'm just like, you know, just work as a body. So yeah, I think I just leave my oil where it is, and as soon as I decrease it, I just want oil. I crave fat. I crave peanut butter by the spoonful, you know. Also have a hearty breakfast. Yeah, exactly. Porridge, cereal, just toast, it doesn't work, does it, for breakfast? You've got to have something else. I don't know when cereal started, probably in the 70s. It's a disaster. What else can I say? So yes, the peppers you could layer those up, couldn't you? I mean, there's all sorts of things you could do with roasted pepper, but if you've got some sat in your fridge, I mean, don't just do a little bit like I did. Do loads. To buy 6 peppers and do loads of them. Roast them all up. You know, cut some. You can put them in sandwiches, open sandwiches, closed sandwiches. You could layer them up in a ragu, like a lasagna, parmigiana, all sorts of things you can do with roasted peppers. But it's an instant lunch. I mean, what a lunch compared with, well, what you might have had if you're not vegan, or what you could have if you are vegan, which might not be as colourful and healthy as that. That is a great dish. That's it. I think I need to stop talking now because we're over time. Never eat cereal, toast. So probably able to be. I think it's a really, really like individual thing. I trust myself, and when I'm starting to crave peanut butter, I know I need more oil in my diet, so I just up it. Breakfast, I'm done with anything just pure carbs. It's a complete disaster, I think, for everyone. So this is what I actually really look forward to in the morning. So yeah, I mean, this is a breakfast. This is a classic Scandi breakfast, I would think, but they'll have like a piece of maybe smoked meat or fish on there or something. Anyway, yes, it's an interesting idea. I think that's an evening meal, but I don't sit down always and have what I call proper evening meals because I'm on my own. So this is the sort of thing that I'd have. What's for tea? But that's it. Thanks for coming, Kerry. Sorry about the sound thing. I'll have to ask the internet again. But if you have any more questions, let me know. I've got the recipe all written up here, so I'll publish that tomorrow. Okay. Wipe my hand and get on. I'm glad you ate and enjoyed the Khorasan. That was it, wasn't it? Yeah, it is like rice. Thank you for coming. Take care. Bye.